So, somewhere near the end of our discussion about America's troubles and our involvement with Ukraine will be NATO. And again, the starting point for NATO, who and what is NATO? Who and what are the players in NATO? Who are we trying to defend in NATO? Is it the emerging culture in our great friend Ukraine or the United Kingdom? They are not the free speech, free markets, democratic entity that was for a long time our great friend in the world. Um, Germany, who knows where they're headed? I'm not quite sure about that. And all sorts of other players that just Poland. Does Poland really want to emerge as a great power, which it is possibly poised to do? Are we defending them against someone? Are we defending them against Russia? Are we defending France against Russia? France seems to have an occasionally very antagonistic attitude toward Russia, and that has been one of the factors among a number of countries, and ourselves included at some point, that has turned a relatively peaceful Russia, a relatively weak Russia, into a heavily armed, very antagonistic, and militarily prepared Russia. So we bear responsibility for that. So is there some group of Western nations, the Western civilization, NATO, that is in danger? And from whom are they in danger? Russia? Not so sure. Um, and we start to look back, we look at back at this also at this great arena of battles that has swept across um, the western half of Russia and Ukraine again and again by many players, many of them from the West. So if the West, which is to say NATO, Western Europe, if that needs to be defended, and Western civilization needs to be defended against some sort of annihilation, against a possible Second Roman Empire style civilizational collapse, which seems like a possibility, along with the possibility of another world war. So, against whom would we be defending Western civilization should that need arise in a grand form? And one might want to look back simply to Asia and also um, maybe another opportunity to make a little bit of an enemy, but that part of the world and that civilization, our civilization, this desirable place, this desirable civilization, the West, was under assault by the Ottoman Empire, which is to say the antecedent of Turkey for many years. So that was the Turks. The Turks were Europe, or excuse me, they were Asian, and Europe in general was under assault by Asian empires for a long time. We can certainly go back to the Persian Empire and trying to take over the democratic heartland of Greece and the Battle of Thermopylae and all of those great stories from several hundred years ago, more than, well, more than several hundred years ago. So, is that part of the grand sweep of hostility and risk for Western Europe and Western civilization? Does it come from Turkey someday? Does it come from Islam? Certainly, Islam is exerting great pressure, if not an invasion, on Western Europe at present. So, if we are going to maintain or revitalize NATO in some form again, who and what within NATO or Western Europe are we really fighting to defend? Is it the woke people in London? Maybe not so much. And against whom are we defending whatever is left that's good in Central and Western Europe and Western civilization. So we have a lot of thinking and talking to do, and will probably be, some people will be possibly antagonizing some people within this grand sweep of geography. I hope not. But going back to the original point, for America to get through this, for America to start actually turning around and solving some of its grand national, political, civilizational problems of its own, regardless of what's going on in the old Soviet Union, if we are going to be able to do that, we do still first have to disengage from Ukraine. They are not our marriage partner for the next generations or centuries of our existence, should those generations and centuries of existence come into being. We won't be able to make it through in very good form if we are tied in irrevocably to a military, political, economic alliance with Ukraine. Sorry, that's just the way it is.